Hey, it's Monday and things are just going slow, you know? Hey, welcome to Blue Jay Banner today. We're along with Mike Sean. How you doing, Mike?
Good morning, Tim. I'm excited for some cooler weather. We don't
Well,
need,
you got it.
yeah, right. Big change.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like after we get through these first 2 days, it's supposed to be in the 70s, so
I
which
know.
is beautiful, right?
Perfect.
So,
Yep.
yeah, so we probably need some rain. So here we go. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to kind of recap the weekend, the week that was in Creighton athletics here. Spend a little additional time on volleyball because I got some thoughts on what they did over this past weekend. And then we want to jump into we're going to pop up the schedule here and kind of we've got some tip times now, so kind of interesting in networks and kind of add up all the different networks you're going to
Right.
have to
Nice.
watch Creighton, how much you're going to have to spend, and
Ready.
um, so that ought to be interesting. So first of all, we want to just have a mention about Infusion Brewing Company. I want to thank them for being a loyal sponsor. Go to infusionbrewing.com. Check out all they have to offer. They got all their fall beers, including their fabulous pumpkin beer. And got a lot of events going on out there. So check them out. Go to their website. It'll give you the times of their tasting rooms and any events that they have. It'll be a great, later in the week, it'll be a great time to go out there, a beautiful fall evening, and sip a couple of great beers. So check them out. That's infusionbrewing.com. And then, as we mentioned a while back, we want to talk about RTI Threads. So they have become the exclusive apparel sponsor of Blue Jay Banter, and we are very excited about that. You'll see them sponsorship not only here, but on our post-game show. And then also very excited. They're going to do a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff planned. Katie and I over there at RTI Threads, a lot of different things going on. We're going to have a lot of merchandise that we're going to give away throughout their podcasts on our post-game podcast, plus on Blue Jay Banner today. Not only that, they are going to provide, they're going to be our apparel provider for Blue Jay Banner. So we're going to have some Blue Jay Banner gear, which is really cool. And then we're also going to do, we're working on an event where they're going to be at the Hilton before a game, and we're working on them with that to kind of be a host of that party going on before one of the basketball games. So a lot of exciting things with them. We're thankful of their sponsorship, and we've been a longtime partner of them, and can't wait to get things really rolling with RTI Threads. So we appreciate that. And anyone else who would like to be a sponsor of the show, let us know. Go to bluejbanner@gmail.com. Let us know, or put it in the chat here, and we'll help you out and get you all set up. And you get a lot of great perks, by the way, with being a sponsor of Blue Jay Banner. If you're interested in like meet and greet with players and so forth, that's something we can do. So check it all out. RTI Threads and Infusion Brewing. I want to thank them for their sponsorship. All right, let's kick off the schedule. So let's start with women's soccer. They lost 1-0 at UConn. They've now dropped to 1-3-1 in the league, so they've kind of accumulating a lot of losses here. They've kind of got to flip things around to make that postseason tournament, and they're off for this week, so they don't hit the pitch until Saturday at 11 a.m. when they go to Providence. So a chance to get things right there. The men had their long 5-match win streak broken this week when they went to UConn and lost 3-0. They took their first conference loss. So still in good shape there. Time to get back on track. They have actually a midweek non-conference matchup, and it's actually a neutral site, which is a little unusual. They're going to Kansas City to take on Missouri State. So non-conference match there on Wednesday down in Kansas City. Volleyball. Okay. So, Mike, you and I have talked as we went through this non-conference. We said, okay, It's great we play all these teams, these tough teams, but we gotta beat some of them. We did beat Kansas twice, so that's good,
Yep.
right? Would have been nice to get one of those other ones. Win a 5-setter with Nebraska, but we got swept by Louisville, swept by USC, swept by, Penn State, swept by Texas. And one thing we noticed as being novice volleyball commentators, and I use novice very loosely, was when they played against the Texases, Nebraskas, Penn States, Louisville, so forth, 2 things. 1, we would get some great returns on them. I mean, some great at the net hammer shots by Ava and Reinhardt, so on. And somehow those really great teams would dig some or a lot of them, right?
Yep.
On the flip side of that, when they got a shot, when they got a chance to put it around, it was incredible power by several players, not just one. And we struggled sometimes to dig those balls. Then we talked about the second time to play Kansas. You could see that playing those top teams helped some, and we were able to dig some of those good shots by Kansas. So Thursday they take on Marquette. Okay. Perennially, it's been Creighton and Marquette in the Big East. Creighton's got most of them against Marquette, but Marquette's been ranked, I think won some NCAA tournament matches and so forth. So it's a big, big match at Marquette to kind of,
Yep.
early on in the Big East season. Creighton goes in with a 3-0 sweep and just dominates. If
Right.
you watch that match, it looked like Texas against us, right? I mean, we were digging everything. They could not handle anything we slammed them in. And, oh my god, the blocking at the net, the defense was unbelievable. Like, there was times Marquette couldn't get the ball over the net, like, just time after time.
Yeah. You and I talked about this a little bit, and I think people were maybe on Coach Rosen, just like, is he in over his head? All this stuff. Like, why would you schedule? And he made it pretty clear, like, this is, we may struggle right now, but this is only going to help us in the long run. And unfortunately, the Big East is not known for their volleyball, but you can just see, like, Creighton is head and shoulders above these teams in the Big East, and a big reason is how much you learn. Everybody talks, you learn more from losing than you do winning. So, um, like we talked about, that Kansas win was huge because it showed that progression that we were all hoping to see going into conference play, and then just laying the wood to
I mean, that was probably the
to
most
Marquette.
dominant to me. I can't remember every match, but I mean, to me, that was the most dominant performance against Marquette that we've had. I mean, that
Right.
was now
especially
Marquette's, I think, down a little bit this year, but
especially
still,
there.
yeah, right. And then Saturday they turned around and went to DePaul. They lost the third set, surprisingly, in a close match. I think it was 29-27. But the other 3 matches that they won, if you add up the total points they allowed, it was 37. So that's like an average of 12. So that's
Yeah.
like basically a doubling of the score in the other 3 matches. Like, that was NCAA volleyball team versus club team
Right.
at times when you
Yep.
watched it. Um, so just a dominant performance. And I saw the post game where Coach Rosen said, "Okay, we get ice cream."
Right. Right.
Well, geez, I would hope.
Yeah.
Uh, but a great performance by the volleyball team. And you mentioned the Big East, and that's, we're gonna throw out this topic right now before we get into some hoop stuff. But I get into discussions with people, and they often say I'm nuts. But like Val Ackerman, okay, I get her main thing is men's basketball. Okay, of course, right? It's like if you're athletic director of Nebraska, your main thing is football,
Yeah, for
okay?
sure. Yep.
So I get that. I get that she's done a pretty good job in with the basketball. Now, somebody needs to tell Val that there are schools west of the Appalachians, she doesn't show up here much, where I see her at the Garden, I see her
Yeah.
at Seton Hall games, I see her at Georgetown, but she does a pretty good job with that. Women's basketball, I think she does an okay job with. I would think she would have more of an interest in that
Yeah.
since she has a background there, but, I mean, she just really kinda paves the way for UConn every year, really. I mean, I
Yeah.
I get it. You gotta have people going to your games, and what better way to have all the UConn fans go to Mohegan Sun and go to
Right.
okay, so I get having the tournament there, I get it.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, why wouldn't you have grabbed the baseball tournament at Schwab Park?
Yeah.
You know, why Schwab Field? Why wouldn't you have done that if you're worried about attendance? Because the
Oh, for
attendance
sure.
there would have been better than any other place.
100%.
So, I mean, beyond that, she just doesn't give a crap about
No.
anything,
No.
and she hasn't because those Eastern schools aren't good at volleyball, she didn't give a crap about volleyball, which is really sad because if you
It
look
is.
around the country, look at the number of games that have been, like, on Fox, on FS1, on ESPN. It's incredible the number of volleyball games that are on,
Oh, yeah.
and, like, now the Big Ten network is, like, they've made volleyball, like,
They're yeah,
Not as
they're
not
all
as
in.
big as football, but
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
I mean, they're showing weekend volleyball matches where they never used to do that because 'cause it'd be
Yeah.
all football all the time.
Yep.
So, she's just got to do a better job there. You're miss there the Big East is really missing out there. I think they're missing out on baseball too, frankly. It's tough. Mostly northern teams, I get that, and I get some schools just don't have the money to put into the baseball programs, but those are the 2, like, nationwide that are growing and
Oh, yeah.
growing and growing, and we're not, and she's got to do something about that. Um, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. I mean, we talked, a couple weeks ago about, like, how do you find these, like, volleyball games? It's like, luckily, you get, the Nebraska game, the Big Ten, and a few of them, but, like, I mean,
Well, like Marquette Creighton was just on.
volleyball's yeah, volleyball's growing like crazy, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to be heavily involved, heavily invested into volleyball. And, you have some, I mean, you have Creighton and, you talked about hitching your wagon to UConn women's basketball. Well, yeah, that's pretty easy, but man, hitch your wagon to Creighton women's volleyball because they're good all the time. And like, I don't know why, yeah, I'm with you 100% that she needs to get going a little bit volleyball or all these other conferences are already passing Big East by, and it doesn't help the product. I mean, if I'm a maybe a middle tier volleyball player and I want to go play somewhere but like it's never on TV or anything like that, or I can go somewhere else and all my games are on TV, well, which one am I going to choose? So kids look into that, so I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching a football show on ESPN, an NFL show, and in the middle of it, they start one of the guy's daughters plays for Texas, and he starts talking about volleyball. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how much it's permeated the mainstream. I mean, it's crazy, but, at any rate, the volleyball team rolling, and, yeah, it's gonna take a big, big effort, and it's gonna take Creighton not take somebody seriously for them to lose in the Big East. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
I would be surprised if they didn't roll. I was surprised they didn't do a UConn women's basketball thing, you know? Okay, so we wanna talk a little bit about hoops here. Um, we're going to, take a look at the schedule and, 'cause the tip times have been announced for a lot of the, lot of the games. So, I wanna kinda take a look at it and, there we go, and, kinda go down through some of these and also kinda give you an idea. We discussed this, I think, last week a little bit, but we got a more comprehensive view here. Kinda look at this and so you kinda get an idea of the TV options that you're gonna have to watch Creighton basketball this year, which is gonna be much different. You used to have Fox, FS1, FS2, and then CBS Sportsnet. And that was one I think people had to throw in extra on their TV packages because some TV packages don't include the CBS
Right.
Sportsnet with everything else, or FS2 was the other one. Now you don't need FS2 because there aren't gonna be any games as far as I can see on here at FS2, but we'll go down through. So we kick it off on a Wednesday. It's a 7 o'clock tip, Peacock. Now I know people will be like, Peacock? I don't know how to get that. Um, excuse me. So yeah, you're gonna have to have Peacock. So that's one that we're gonna have a lot of games on. There are alternate. I know the TV I have upstairs in my living room is a pretty nice TV. It's not extremely old. It's not 2 years old, but it's not 20 years old either. I've got to look at how I can get that Peacock onto that TV because it doesn't have it on the App Store. It doesn't automatically have it. Now, there's other ways to do it, by hooking your phone up to the TV and so forth. I can do that, but I'd rather not because I'd rather
Right.
be able to flip at different points the game onto maybe another game, so forth. But at any rate, Peacock gotta have it. Okay. Cool thing about Peacock is you're out and about on a road game. You got a dinner you had to go to or kids concert or something. Hey, you can have it on your phone, man. It's so simple.
Yep.
That's where I have Peak. That's where I watch most of Peacock for me. So that's great. So there we go. Gonzaga, there hasn't been a network or a tip time yet. I think they're trying to figure out. I guess it would be between Fox and ESPN would be the battle there, right? So it'll either be on FS1 or on one of the ESPN, I would think, main channels because you could have that game late at night. It's a Tuesday, so it could be some late night programming for ESPN. So I think they're kind of figuring out. They probably have. I'm guessing there's probably some Big Ten stuff going on that night. So they're trying to figure out what the Big Ten network's gonna pick up and what they can move over to one of the other platforms. But rest assured, that's gonna be at least a 9 o'clock tip. I'd be shocked if it was anything other than that. Um, so then we go down to Maryland Eastern Shore. That is a 7 o'clock game, and that's on Peacock. So you can kind of think of this like back in the day when we were in the Valley and we, you know, had ESPN Plus, games on ESPN Plus. I don't know if did we even have did they even have ESPN Plus when we were in the Valley?
I think at like the very end, actually, I remember you had to like buy a lot of the games,
Yeah.
and it was like the home team's feed. I think it was like, I want to say it's like a North Texas game. I remember watching, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just
Yeah, you'd have
brutal.
to go like, if it was a road game, you'd have to go to a sports bar, and then they would
Yeah,
put it on for you. And speaking of ESPN Plus, so the next game against North Dakota is the ESPN Plus game. Now, what this does do, um, especially for these early games, what this does do is, there was a lot of complaints about 8 o'clock or 8:15 starts midweek for games, during the week. And so what this does do is allow us to have 7 o'clock starts,
right.
which I think is big. So that's ESPN Plus. Okay, so now that's been two networks, right? Peacock, ESPN Plus. Now we go to Vegas where we have to have True TV. So the first two games are on True TV, but we could have a game when we get to the championship round. By the way, those games are on Monday at 1 and Tuesday at 1:30. So, already start thinking about your work schedule, okay? Or go to Vegas, one of the 2. The 3rd game could be either Wednesday or Thursday. Now, the last I looked at the schedule, I got the press stuff from the tournament in order to get press passes and stuff, and they had the schedule on there. It looks to me like if we win one of our first 2 games, we would at least one of our first 2 games, we would play on Wednesday. If we lose both games, then we would play on Thursday. That's the way it looks to me by the schedule. The first 2 games are at Mandalay Bay, by the way, so the last game could be at Mandalay Bay or at MGM. But anyway, it could be on TNT too, by the way. So there's the 4th network you may have to have. And then we're going to follow that up with a home game on True TV. Looks like maybe True TV's having a double header that night because we do have an 8 o'clock tip on that Nichols game, which is on a Tuesday.
Could be a
Then,
sparse crowd there. A Nichols
yeah,
game on a Tuesday night at 8.
yeah, it'll depend on how the Vegas thing goes, I think,
True.
right?
Very, very
You
true.
know, then we go at Nebraska. That shockingly hasn't had a TV thing yet. I would think the Big Ten Network would have gobbled that up right away. The mainstream networks wouldn't have it because they got football on. Because didn't they say that was going to be an afternoon game? I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
think.
it has been in the past. Well, on that Sunday, I know that
Yeah.
when we went down there 2 years
But
ago.
Nebraska, we always have it at a nice time, like
Yeah,
either a Saturday night or a Friday night. Nebraska always has it, and every time they have it, they want to avoid football, and they put it on Sunday at like 1 o'clock. And it's like, talk about killing your national interest in it,
right.
putting up against football.
Yeah,
But there hasn't been one for that one either. I think that's the only other game that hasn't been assigned.
yeah,
Uh, then Saturday, then we're on Big Fox, so that's network number 5 against Kansas State. So that's cool. Nationally televised game. Then we head into the Big East. Now FS1 jumps in the picture, so that's 6 networks. So Wednesday will be a 5:30 tip our time, but that's on FS1. And again, FS1's always gone the 5:30 or 8 o'clock, so that's kind of where you are, depending on what time zone you're in. Then when we move to Peacock for Marquette, then you see we get a more usable time because they can have so many more games in their platform. So 7:30 on a Saturday night, just about perfect, right?
yep,
Then we take on Utah Tech. That's an ESPN Plus game, 7 o'clock. So you can see all the 7 o'clock starts, which is pretty incredible. And just as I say that, then we get to a midweek game, but it is holiday week. 8 o'clock tip against Butler. Again, that'll be the second of a doubleheader, I assume. Then we get into those lovely 11 a.m. starts. There'll be about 5 people at Seton Hall at their hockey arena. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. Boy, that's just got not being able to get up for that game written all
right.
over it, isn't it?
Yep, it does.
Then Villanova at Villanova, that's a 6:30 tip on Peacock. So 7:30 Eastern, 6:30. So that's better, right? It's
Yeah.
not 5:30, it's 6:30. Then on Big Fox against St. John's, St. John's is going to be all over Big Fox
Oh, yeah.
all season long. Then we go back to Peacock for a Tuesday, 8 o'clock. So that's interesting. They did move one to 8 o'clock right there, midweek game. So that's only our second, I believe, that I've seen in this. That's 8 o'clock, which isn't bad because we usually have tons of them, if not at 9 o'clock or 8:30. Providence on FS1, back to back FS1s. Wow, look at this. Providence at 5:30 on a Friday. That's interesting. And then, January 24th on a Wednesday, a 6 o'clock home game. Ooh,
Yeah,
boy, as screwed up as everything is downtown right now with the streets, doing multiple projects, mainly the streetcar thing. Oh my god, it's gonna be a mess. Rush
yeah,
hour, get down there, it's gonna be terrible. Then we go to TNT on Tuesday, January 27th. There's the 8:30 start. It is on the road though, which makes it a little nicer for people. But, that's a late night post game right there.
right.
8:30 at Marquette on TNT, so that'll obviously be a TNT doubleheader. Then we go back to Big Fox for UConn, no surprise there. Then over to Peacock again for Georgetown. But the Big Fox, 7 o'clock on a Saturday night. How awesome is that?
It's
Place
gonna be
is gonna
wild.
be nuts. Hurley ain't seen nothing yet.
No,
Then a 5 o'clock Saturday game. I don't mind those at all. Then we're back to an 8 o'clock Wednesday, but again, it's a road game at DePaul. Then Villanova at home on Big Fox, Saturday afternoon game, and then we go to UConn on a Wednesday night. That's on TNT at 6. Then we always have that lovely 11 a.m. start on a Saturday on Big Fox against St. John's. There's our third 8 o'clock home game against DePaul on Peacock again. And then home game on Saturday at 4:30. So we've had some interesting times there. We had a
yeah,
5. Did we have a 5 and a 4:30? That's interesting. So, yeah, and then we're gonna finish it up with Butler at Indy. At least it's not a Saturday at 11 a.m. game in Butler. It is man, that's a 5 p.m. start. That's super early for central viewing
yeah,
times. So the way I count it, we count 3 8 o'clock midweek games. That's pretty good.
yeah, oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty good. Didn't see any, like, even on the weekend, I thought we'd have some, like, 8 or 9 o'clock weekend games. None. But we did count 6 networks. Just a quick count. I've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8, if you throw in Vegas, 9. I've counted like 9 or 10 different tip times throughout the season. So you're gonna kinda have to, like you're gonna kinda have to look at the schedule.
Right, right. They really need to give those pocket schedules again, like they used to give.
Oh, I know it.
They can have with you all the time.
It's gonna be crazy. Like, you're gonna have to um, really know where, where these games are on TV and what time they are. So, we thought we'd just run that down and, what are your thoughts, Michael?
I'm glad that there's only 3 of the midweek, 8 o'clock tips. Those are those are at home games, I guess. So,
Yeah.
um, the road ones are, at least for
I
me,
think we only
not
had 2
not
road ones if
not
my memory serves me right,
not so
so
much for you on
figure
post
5
games,
out
but
of 30 games is pretty good for
yeah,
us.
I you know, I like the schedule. I looked at it when it came out. I like the Marquette and the UConn game, night games on Saturday. Like that's just going to be fun. Better extend the Hurley Tunnel extra long this time for that Saturday game. So yeah, I mean that this is going to be wild. And I hope that I think the home schedule is really favorable. I like it. I hope that gives the crowd a little extra juice and uh because when that crowd's loud, CHI is a tough place to play. Unfortunately, it's not always that way. But I think this schedule is gonna help out. You're not going to have some of those sleepy time games. On the flip side, the one you mentioned, the 11 o'clock game at Seton Hall, like, I mean, that's just, oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through, like, last year's schedule. We had some 7:30s, but those didn't start
Oh no.
until, so we had 2 7:30s by my count so far, and, there's 3. I'm counting road too,
Yeah.
so, it's probably not as bad as you think, but road 2, but that's 5 8 o'clocks. Let's see, 6 8 o'clocks. Um, yeah, there were 6 8 o'clocks and 2 and 3 7:30s. So that's 9 after 7, where this year I think we had 5 or 6 max, 5, I think. So, about in half, right?
Right.
And some of those were, I think a couple of those were weekend 8 o'clockers too, so, um, yeah, I think we had some road, like, I think of the 8 o'clocks, I think half of them were roads, right? DePaul was at 8
Yeah.
o'clock and so one other one. So, that's a really, really cool thing, and then obviously the number of Saturday games we have at home is incredible.
Right.
That's like an all-time high for the Big East,
Yeah.
first time in the Big East, so alright, so that's look at the schedule. We got all kinds of great things planned for you this week and into next. We're gonna have some media day coverage on Thursday. Thursday is media day, so, AJ's going over to media day, and we're gonna get, a bunch of coverage there, so be looking out that either, here on our podcast on our YouTube channel or on our Twitter account, Blue Jay Banner, and, obviously, we'll have random J of the week again this week down the road, and, more coverage of, uh, Creighton basketball as we get really full bore into practice, and what is 10 days away from the
Right.
Iowa State game. Just
Yeah.
crazy when you think
It
about it.
is.
It's coming up so fast. So again, I
Uh,
wanna thank.
Also, Tim, just to give you a little plug, if you haven't listened to it, catch up on his interviews with some old assistant coaches from Creighton, Coach Miller, and then Coach Lutz down at Oklahoma State, and then Coach Miller at Murray State. Really good interviews, especially with Coach Miller. Talking about bringing the 4Js on, and just how he's recruiting and doing things like that. It was really good.
Yeah, and then, Mike was on Jay's Classic, right?
I was on the podcast last Wednesday, Jay's Classic. We talked, kind of broke down what we expect from Jackson McAndrew, the second year jump, that so many players have had under McDermott. So broke some things down. It was really cool. And if you want to watch old Creighton highlights, Jay's Classic has a ton of stuff. So check it out. I'm trying to get him. I told him he needs to come and do random Jay of the week. So
That would be
yeah,
awesome.
right. I
Absolutely.
told
We could
Yeah,
we need to get some new blood in this, right?
yeah, yeah. That's what I told him.
Um,
He said he'd love to do it. So
okay. Well, we'll hook
we'll
him up
work
with
with it.
that. We can
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Absolutely. And by the way, just go listen to his podcast because I know I was on there last year. And you just like I was just able to ramble for like
Oh
an
yeah,
hour and a half. It was
right.
great. Just talk about everything. He
Yeah,
he was very interested in how Blue Jay Banner started and everything like that, and then
yep,
just talking about old Jays, and it's just great.
yep. That's really cool.